Welcome to the Finish Line with Sew Very Easy. My name is Laura, and today I have a cute little quilt that I want to finish up. And I do want to quilt it in a way that I've been thinking about a lot lately and have never tried. So I want to try this thought with you today. And one of the fun things about this is I am using the quilt that you helped me design. I asked, what charm pack would you like me to use? You chose Love Notes. Then when I made the quilt, I asked, do you want a border or no border? Most of you said add a border. And to the surprise, most of you said add a little border first. So I did do that. So this is the quilt that I want to quilt today in this way that, well, I've never tried before. And we are going to quilt this quilt my favorite way, which is upside down. So we're going to be looking and working on the back of the quilt. To do that, we do need to have our quilt sandwiched and put together. And I do like to put a row of pins along the outside border. That's going to help me transfer marks to the back of the quilt. And then as I quilt it, I'm going to be able to take those pins off. So we're going to take this, turn it upside down, and work from behind. Here are the pins along the outside. And this is one time I would recommend a fabric that you're going to be able to see very clearly. A light print, a white, anything that you can mark on and see clearly. And that way you can see your pins. We are quilting from this side, so as we get to these pins, we're going to want to be able to remove them. Now, if you're more comfortable, you can take those pins and move them to that back. Now, this is just a small little quilt, so it's going to be a fun size to try this idea. Now, I want to do daisies on this quilt. And a daisy, that is a very primary drawn daisy. For marking, you can use a marker that's going to fade or a marker that you're going to be able to wash out. And be sure to test it before you use it. So a daisy has a circle and these nice big leaves. And you can see I'm really not being overly fussy about that design. The drawing is going to fade or get washed away. I'm going to do all the work with the thread. So I'm going to be able to go through and make these daisies, and I'm just drawing them on the back of the fabric. And you can see really I'm not being fussy at all. These pins kind of allow me to know where that border of my quilt is going to be. I'm even going to do some half daisies to go around that border. As we're laying out these daisies, it's important that we do not leave too much of a space. When we quilt, we need to quilt within a certain area so that the batting is staying nice on the quilt. And it's usually about a fist size. So if you have more than a fist, we need to do something else. And there's nothing saying we can't do a cute little daisy just to add. So I'm going to fill this entire back with daisies. Once I finish drawing all my daisies, I'm going to take this right to the machine and quilt it. I am going to be quilting these daisy shapes, but I'm going to add a little extra thread work. To go from daisy to daisy, I'm just going to trail. By drawing my daisies, it gives me the size that I want and it fills in the spots that I want. And it takes the guesswork out of where is my daisy going to be? What's the size of my daisy going to be? The only thing really I need to worry about now is how to get from one daisy to another. So I'll just go in between one of the petals and come to the next daisy. Finish this daisy, leave one of the petals, and go into the next one. So let's go right to the machine and I'll show you how I'm going to do these. So here's a daisy that I'm going to start with. Because this is my first one, I really can start anywhere on that daisy. So I'm going to start in the center, and I've pulled up my thread. First thing I'm going to do is do that circle in the center. And I'm not really going to be fussy because this is going to be very fun, free-flowing daisies. So just once around the center. Now I'm going to go and do my daisies. I want to do 3 lines for my daisy. I want to do 1 little loop in the inside, 1 loop following semi that line, and 1 just a little bit shadowing it. I want to do 3 lines, and that way it's going to hide a multitude of mistakes, which really we can't call them mistakes when they're all just supposed to be free. So let's start with this first one. I'm going to do those 3 loops. And I'm really not following anything, I'm just having fun. 1 loop, my second, and my third. So I'm going to do all of them this way. Just do a speed that you're comfortable with, and really don't overthink it. This is going to be a fun pattern. And this can be done on your domestic machine as well. So there is that basic daisy. I need to come out somewhere. The decision is going to be on what daisy am I going to do next. I'm going to slide over and do this daisy here. So I do want to come out here or around here. So I do want to go around this daisy a couple of more times, and that's going to duplicate these 3, 2, 3 in the center or more. Once I've gone around, I'm going to find my path to come outside. I will have to redraw that daisy so you can see it. I can see it, but I'll do it so you can see it. Now I'm going to make my next daisy. You can go around the center, do the petals first, whatever sort of feels right as you go along. This time I'll just do petals and we can see the difference. Inside, outside. Let's do 1 more. Go and do that second petal. And you can see that that's just giving me a guide. I'm really not following it. It's just giving me the placement that I want. I'm going to just do a little one to fill in that spot. Go back into the center, and let's go around and make that center a little bit. Now I need to decide where I'm going out again, and I'll go up to this one. You can see where this is going to be really free, easy, and we're not concentrating on anything because we've already drawn the placement of the daisies. We just need to go from daisy to daisy, and we can always put a little loopy in there if we want. We could free motion a leaf. This can be any way to travel from daisy to daisy. I'm going to come back and do a side daisy. My studio is in my basement, so it is a little bit damper, which means these self-erasing markers that fade a lot quicker for me because of the dampness. So I will redraw them for you to see. I'm going to go back around and come and do this corner. And I'm just going to come out again so that it feels comfortable. So here are my pins that are marking that fabric border. I do want to quilt outside of that border, and then I'm going to trim it all down afterwards. But this has given me that guide. Here's a pin on what it would look like if you've moved it up. So we get to take these out. Make sure that that fabric is up and not pulled under. And let's finish that daisy. Now I'm going to go back to that inside. Do my little center. Maybe I'll do a little loop. And now I'm going to get into my next daisy. Here's a corner that I have just finished. Now instead of trying to work my way into another spot, I can travel until I get to another spot on the quilt, or just take off the thread and start somewhere else inside the quilt. You can also travel back on one of your lines, do another daisy loop, and come back out. Here's a daisy from one of the corners, and you can see, well, I did a little kerfuffle there, but I'm leaving it. All daisies are not perfect, and neither am I. As I was quilting those daisies, I did find a spot here and there that was a little bit too small for a daisy, and yet it needed to be filled in. So I came out and I just did this little curl. So I do have a few of those curls throughout the project to fill in that space. So all of the daisies and all of the spots are filled in, and like I said, I have never done this before. I have not even done a test of this before, so I have no idea what the front's going to look like. So let's take a look. Oh, it is so cute. You really can see all of the dimensions in the daisies. I think if I had just did one little stem and didn't go over 3 times, you wouldn't see it as much. You see what I'm saying? If I only did one little thing, you wouldn't have seen it as much. But because I went over it 3 times, you really can see that daisy. And there's a corner one. It's a lot of fun just seeing those little daisies pop up. On the busier patterns, you don't see it as much. But every once in a while, they just pop out. This turned out a lot better than I was even hoping for. I absolutely love the way this turned out. The back turned out cute, and the front turned out cute. I've had this idea of quilting for a long time, and not just daisies. I've thought about doing butterflies and bees. If I wanted to do a child's quilt, I could do teddy bears and dolls and balls and boats, just drawing them on the back and then joining them with some squiggly lines and joining them all up together. I do hope someone gives it a try and lets me know what they think about just joining up the lines along the back. Thank you for everyone who voted for the fabric to use for love notes and for the advice on the borders. And thank you for joining me today on Sew Very Easy. Feel free to subscribe. I'm on Facebook, Instagram. I do have a newsletter, all free under Sew Very Easy. Thanks for joining me. Bye for now.